Happy New Year and welcome to 2024. We are super excited to invite you into the new year here from your space, Uganda. And with me in studio, I do have a fantastic team we're going to be setting off this year with. Allow me to start introducing them from the person at my extreme and the other side. Hello, welcome to the show, and how do you feel about 2024?
Thank you so much, Hannah. My name is Solomon Chisatre. I am a lawyer by profession, and 2024, it's our first year, and I'm excited to see what happens ahead.
Thank you so much for honoring our invite. Yes, Sakwa.
Yes, happy New Year, viewers. My name is Joel Sakwa. As always, the usual suspect. Thank you, Hannah, for having me.
How do you feel about 2024?
2024, new prospects, and let's push this thing out of our country. Corruption.
Definitely. Happy New Year, Doctor.
Happy New Year, Anna. Patricia Chano Kiria. Good evening, viewers. I'm happy to be part of this conversation. And 2024 is a year of new beginnings. And I think we need to re-strategize and see how we can fight corruption together as citizens of this country.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to start off this brand new year with something from the utmost basics. We are going back to the law. It's hard for us to work towards fighting corruption without understanding exactly what the laws say about it. Now, we're going to look at understanding the role of freedom of information laws in the fight against corruption. Let's begin from something a bit simpler. Now, speaking from the fact that everybody in this panel has done law except myself, I am also here to learn. What are the freedom of information laws, Solomon?
The freedom of information laws, we begin with the Constitution, which we term as the mother law. So I think everyone is conversant with the Constitution.
Yes.
So in the Constitution, we have Article 42 that deals majorly with the right to accessing the information. So it's your right as a person to access this information, but then equally we have the Access to Information Act. So with this act, you're entitled to access any information from government or the private sector, as long as this information does not affect the security of the country. So there's information you as an individual are not entitled to. Information, let me say, with regards to defense and security, things that can make us weak as a country to our opponents. And then we also have the regulations that help in administering the right to Information Act, Access to Information Act. And we also have international statutes that also guide with this. Statutes, I mean laws, that help. So we as a country are signatories to these covenants. So we have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So that also gives us a right to access this information.
Okay.
Yes.
So you say the Universal Declaration of
Human Rights.
Is that an international body?
Yeah. No, it's just, how should I call it, like a law. It's made by various countries.
Okay, in international law, there's something that we call international conventions. So when countries come together, they come up with specific policies that will be guiding individual states in coming up with their own laws. So if you look at our Access to Information Act, it has a lot to borrow from international statutes. I could draw an allusion like, if we are going to make a law that is going to guide the freedoms and the rights of children, we shall always look up to what other countries have come up with internationally. And in a similar stance, the Access to Information Act largely borrows from international conventions and statutes. So that is what it means. It does not necessarily mean that this is a certain body that is out there.
Yes. So now that we do have these laws in Uganda, yes?
Yes.
So how do these laws contribute to a transparent government and a transparent governance in our country, Dr. Patricia?
Well, when you look at the Access to Information Law, which is the Access to Information Act of 2005, like Solomon has rightly alluded to, it emanates from the Constitution, and the Constitution being the mother law. We then have the Access to Information Act, and this law, the history of this law can be traced back from the work of the Constitutional Commission, where it was recommended that fundamental rights and freedoms of expression need to be recognized in this country. And you asked that this law basically, whether it contributes to the fight against corruption, you said?
Yes.
Well, this law plays a very significant role because the Access to Information Act basically provides that people should have information, which information can help them be able to demand for accountability from an informed perspective. And even in the UN Convention Against Corruption, there is a specific provision which says information should be availed to the citizens, to the civil society, to everybody. But like Solomon said, the law says information should not jeopardize the security of the state, that information that is being shared out. So everybody has a right to access information as long as they are a citizen of the country. Yes.
These laws do exist in the country, but do you think they are effective, Solomon? Because out of experience, I have met a number of people, even journalists in the newsroom, that don't really have the exact right information, and they are, still holding certain government and public institutions for accountability. So do you think these laws are currently in the country effective?
Yes, I would want to state that they're effective. Just that people, they do not have knowledge about the laws. And usually what we say is that ignorance of the law is no defense. However, these laws are effective. Let me give you a clear example. We usually see a lot of cases on the media.
Yes.
Someone stole iron sheets. Let me be direct. They
be direct.
The minister.
This is your space. This is your space. This is your platform. Be direct.
The Minister of Karamoja, that is Honorable Kitutu, appearing in the Anti-Corruption Division of the High Court. And then you have, also we have private individuals. Another key thing people think is that corruption laws affect only public officials.
Yes.
Yet even you as a private individual, the law can come for you. So we have people like Nicholas Opio, a famous lawyer. So the laws are effective because the media gets to give you this information. There are documents they access from the government, let me say from the IJJ's office and the DPP's office. So there's this kind of information they access. And then also investigative journalists who are under the media, they also get to, I usually see them doing a lot during the COVID time.
Yes.
There were a lot of issues around the mishandling of funds and things like that. So it also gives them access. The people were able to get a lot of information through the documents from the ministry, how the money was spent. So the laws are effective. And then still you also, as a general individual, you're accessing the newspapers or the media sites that all get this information from government agencies and other bodies.
Yeah. Let me just take you back a little bit. Maybe I'll take this to Dr. Patricia. You said that ignorance of the law is
no defense.
No defense.
Yes.
But I mean, so many of us don't really know how to interpret the law. Are there simpler ways for some of us, the young people, to understand these laws, even though we haven't been to law school? Dr. Patricia?
First of all, when you look at the Access to Information Act, it's a very significant canon for a democratic society. And in democracy, we talk about things like freedom of expression. So people should be free to express themselves. But to express yourself, you need information. And you have to get information in a simplified way, which is well understood. So that calls for simplification of the anti-corruption laws, like the Access Information Act. There's a simplified version of that law, which was done by the anti-corruption agencies. But I also know of other NGOs that do simplify the laws. But when the laws are made simple, that means that the ordinary citizen will be able to easily access, easily read, easily understand. When they're simplified, it also calls for dissemination because you can simplify a thing, and if people don't know what it is, they'll not be able to use it. So it's very important for we, the anti-corruption agencies, to disseminate these laws so that people get to know what they are, get to know their responsibilities, and get to know how to demand for accountability. Because information is very important, especially in development, in planning, and other things. And society is dependent on the exchange of information, especially to hold government accountable. So when we talk about strengthening transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption, we would like the citizens to be informed. We would like the citizens to participate from an informed perspective. And that means preparing them, equipping them with skills, with knowledge, with information to enable them demand for accountability. So the right to access information basically helps to ensure that citizens are not only aware of how government is operating, but it also gives them power to hold government accountable. Yes, so I think that is very, very important, and that enables them to be able to demand for accountability, demand for information, so as to be able to make decisions that affect them as citizens. Yes,
definitely. Let's take a short break. We shall be right back. Welcome back from that short break. We are still here on Your Space, a platform for you, the young people, to express your thoughts and express your views on the fight against corruption. We're still looking at understanding the freedom of information laws. Now, we have understood where they come from, which laws are these, and all these different things. But I think some of us need to understand how powerful these laws can be. Joel, how powerful are these laws in the fight against corruption? Some of us may look at them as, you know, by the way, I don't really need to, So how powerful are they, or are they not?
First of all, that perspective is very genuine, like it comes from a genuine point of view that someone can think that, oh, yes, we have these laws, but come on, Uganda has been the poorest when it comes to enforcement. But I believe, you know, after we had promulgated our constitution in 1995, international players were coming to Uganda and they were saying, wow, what an instrument. All rights are guaranteed. The freedoms that we need are there. Article 29, Article 41, talking about freedom of expression and what not of. There is no doubt that the legal framework that we have is potent enough to support our rights, or the rights that we want to enforce. The only challenge is in the implementation of it. Like, first of all, in Uganda, knowledge is scarce. Okay? So you may find a journalist who has been 4 years in school, but for some reason
that is not me. To clarify that, he's not talking about me.
But what he's saying, the reading culture is problematic in this country. If you want to hide something, they say hide it in the book. So the reading culture is problematic. Joel, please go ahead.
So really, even for the people that these laws are meant to protect, they are, for the most part, ignorant. I was looking at some research this morning, and a lady was talking about how corrupt officials tend to put in something for the journalist who has their report. So, including the journalists themselves, they have used this as an opportunity. They say, I have this against you. They call it, I have this against you. I have such and such an evidence.
That's common.
Do you have such and such an amount of money? And if you do not have that amount of money, then you know you're gone. You know, early in the, I think in the 90s, there were particular newspapers that were known for, you know, kabanyanike in Uganda, they say, in Luganda, they say kabanyanike. The moment that anybody gets a hint that you're involved in any corrupt dealings, these newspapers were there for you. And it really shows that right from the beginning, right from the inception of the Constitution, in the late 90s, the media was playing what? A very big role. But over the years, okay, like what they were doing is really, it has now become common. And now even the journalists are compromised themselves. They feel like, oh, okay, they'll give me some money and I'll hide the report or something. So even the investigations, after investigating and talking about each and everything that you have collected and gathered, there is no much putting into force what your intentions have been. So there has been some kind of laxity, but no doubt the laws have the power to help.
Okay, so who is responsible? Let's call them out. Who is responsible for enforcing this particular law? Because I think it's also blocking us from fighting corruption. Solomon, who's responsible?
Enforcing the law, it comes to you as an individual. I cannot force you to read the law or to understand the kind of laws that are there. But as a journalist, you need to be aware of the kind of information you're giving out to people. Is it true? Is it false? So you need to also debunk the information. But equally, you as a person, as an individual, need to research, as I've said, on the laws and then make sure you give them correct information. However, with regards also to enforcement, I feel the media house owners need to make sure that their journalists are well educated about these things. For example, if you see the journalists, let me say, that are covering court cases,
Yes.
if I'm to use my own yardstick, there's no research that has been done. I think few have much information about the law, so that's also a challenge, because this is the person telling the other people about the law. So it also comes to the media houses to enforce such things and make sure that their journalists are aware of these things, they read these things, but equally as a person you need to make sure that you read. And also maybe the other supervisory bodies like UCC also need to make sure that these journalists are given these trainings, they are quite aware, and they partner with other government agencies or any other organizations.
So let's go back to the individual basis. Dr. Patricia, you have lectured before. Look at us, the viewers, me, myself, as your students. What couple of tips can you share with us to help us easily connect with the law and interpret it better?
Thank you very much, Hannah. I think, first of all, we need to change our attitude and be very, very positive and strive to widen our knowledge base. And because if we read these laws, we get to know what our responsibilities are. But also the laws, like I said earlier, all need to be simplified so that it's reader friendly and easily understood without too much legal jargon in there. So the Access to Information Act, first of all, for we, the people involved in the fight against corruption, look at it as a very important tool in fighting corruption, because when people are armed with knowledge and information, then they are able to demand for accountability and contribute to the fight against corruption. And I said it's also a very significant canon in democracy, where you have government by the people, for the people, and you find that people are involved in making decisions which affect them as the people. Now, it enables citizens to make informed decisions concerning themselves, and it also breaks the culture of secrecy. So that means the law basically encourages open communication so that people are able to get vital information they need. If it is in the district, they get to know how much it is government of Uganda has released, which areas are they going to give priority in terms of development, and so on. The people get involved in planning. So I think the law is very, very important to the ordinary person, not even just the students, but everybody else, because we need to be informed, we need to know, about what concerns us, what concerns our country, where are the priorities in terms of development, and we should be able to demand for accountability as citizens. So we can only demand for that accountability when we have the information. So I think the Access to Information Act is very, very important, but I think it's also good for us to know that the laws have limitations. Like Solomon said earlier on, if the information you're going to require from this government agency is not going to jeopardize the security of the state, it's information that can be given to you. If the information does not touch on somebody's right to privacy, or you want information concerning somebody's health status, and then to protect the right to privacy of that individual, it may not be given. If the information is not related to secrets of cabinet, those cabinet memos, then you can't access that. And also if the information is concerning a matter that is going on already before court, then that is sub judice, is not supposed to be shared or discussed. So those are basically the basic limitations, but access to information is very, very important, and it's a very important tool in the fight against corruption, because it helps to equip people with information and knowledge. Yes.
Maybe I do see our time is fast spent. Before we get into closing this episode, my personal experience, I do have a course in it called Public Policy Reporting. So of course we do accountability on people's expenditure. So I was doing a story on security, how much money is invested in the Makerere University security. So we got to a certain office, I will not say on air. Am I allowed to say it on air? Yeah, the Whistleblowers Act, is it going to protect me? but that's not the case. And this process took quite long. To acquire such information for accountability takes a long time. So how does somebody go about on that, Solomon?
If you wanted like accountability on security matters.
Okay, accountability on anything really. Like if you want to speed up that process, must accountability and finding this information take such an extremely long time?
No. As we've said, you have the right to access this information now. But usually you find a lot of bureaucracy in the offices when it comes to our local setting. There's a lot of bureaucracy with the offices, and then you also find there are people that feel that, why should I give you this information? It might jeopardize my, just as Doctor said, my privacy or my interests or security. However, you're entitled to this information. So with regards to your example of, they are supposed to give you this information. But if you went to the Minister of Defense asking for such information,
so there are specific topics that you just can't ask for accountability on?
Yes. Actually, if you go to even Parliament, when it comes to like the Ministry of Defense budgets, which they usually term as classified budgets, it's specific people that look at it. Not all the MPs look at it, because what if you go and tell your voters that, oh, we are buying this and that and this and that? It might jeopardize the security.
Okay, for me, Hannah, the law gives me power. The law gives me power to access that information, because I just write and make recommendations or directives that I be given the information. Could be information in banks related to some people's account details. Could be information relating to communication on phone. It could be information relating to accounts. I could ask for a forensic financial audit and so on. And I get the information. It helps to support my investigations. So it is not very, very difficult for me, but you need to follow procedure. Like for instance, if you want information relating to somebody's declarations in the Inspectorate of Government, you will have to write, then I'll look at the circumstances, and then I can grant access or deny access or give you view only. I give you rights, just view and not get. I'll make for you a copy. But there are some fees you will have to pay, you're required to pay in order to have that information. Either photocopied. No, it was 200,000. We've just reviewed the regulations and brought it down to 100,000 so that people can really be able to afford them.
Yes, Joel.
No, information is very tricky. One time I was watching a video, and they were asking the director of Facebook the founder of Facebook. They asked him a very tough question. They asked him, would you want to know, would you want somebody else to know where you were last night? Then his answer was no. Right? Would you like to know what food, other people to know what food you ate last night? Then he said no. Then what do you think you're creating for the world? Because normally, wherever there is increased access to information, there is a fear that people's lives or right to privacy or their inner lives will be entered into. You know, there's a case that we do, these people should be knowing it. One of those generals, major generals, they had to do a lifestyle audit on him, but for some reason he was frustrating the process, and it was taking long. It was being conducted, I think, by the Attorney General. Attorney General was doing the process, and then he was sued. And then the IGG, when the IGG's office came in, still the process was being frustrated. So I'm just talking about what you were saying, that in most cases, even when you have the authority, it may be difficult to access this information. And then for us who are citizens like the Wananchi, accessing this information may be even more trickier, especially on those circumstances where you're talking about important issues. And they have a point. They do have a point. First, imagine the amount of money that we spend on buying bullets is is commonplace to every citizen.
Yeah.
And then
that is classified
classified information.
Yeah.
even
So
information relating to the general, because we realize that the generals deal with top security secrets of the country, so it needs to be, they need to be protected. So not everybody should just access any information concerning the work they do and how they do it and what kind of places they go to while doing that work. So we need to be very, very mindful about that, with a view of obeying the principles of the law and also protecting the security of the state. Yes.
Allow us to sign out. We'll see you again next Sunday, same time, same place, right here. My name is Hannah Arinitwe. You are watching Your Space. Bye-bye.